over some of the reports with Dave, and you guys did a great job with that process, so thanks again for participating in that. Today's Lunch and Learn is on Eat This, Not That. How many of you have ever heard of this book series before? There is a couple copies that are that they bought for you guys to just have on hand here. I encourage you to read through these. It's really, I like this series because it does a good job at explaining our current food nation and kind of lets and warns readers know that you can sometimes order a soup and salad combo that's just as artery-clogging as a hamburger and fries. So it's important that we look through this. It's got a lot of popular restaurants that you go to, also frozen meals you might buy, different beverages that you would eat. Like, for example, here's IHOP. It's going to tell you to eat this versus that and explain the reasons why that's a smarter choice. So it's a really great book to read through. If you have time, I encourage you to do that.
We have 5. 2 went up to Detroit, so there's 3 here. You're welcome to take it home and just let me know, and I'll sign it out for you. And then, just be kind and bring it back the next day so somebody else can have a turn with it.
Good. So what we're going to talk about is kind of some of the recommendations on what a healthy diet consists of. So the USDA recommends that a healthy diet emphasizes the following things. So fruits and vegetables, whole grains, a fat-free or low-fat milk product or milk, includes lean meats, poultry, fish, beans, eggs, and nuts, and also is low in saturated fats, trans fats, cholesterol, salt, and added sugars. So frequenting restaurants and going out to eat a lot sometimes makes it very difficult to follow these guidelines because of the types of things that they put into these food and our whole plate that looks a lot of times a lot bigger than what we would eat at home. So I always encourage that if you read through this book, it's going to open up some of those better alternatives at those restaurants, especially the ones that we tend to frequent a lot of times. USDA also recommends that a healthy diet for the average American should consume no more than between 2,000 and 2,500 calories a day. So that's 271 grams of carbs, 65 grams of total fats per day, which includes your saturated, which we'll talk about if that's a good or a bad one to have, and then 23 milligrams of sodium, and then 32 grams of added sugars. I still recommend, though, if you're familiar with using the internet, to log on to these restaurants' websites, because most of them will post their nutritional values for that whole meal online. They tend to not do that in menus because they don't want you to never come back there again. But if you do get online, you can see what some of these options are. And you might be surprised your favorite dish you always get that you think is healthy might be packed full of things that aren't necessarily good for you. So why is food different today? Have our mouths gotten bigger, our stomachs gotten larger over time? No. We just haven't adapted to our food industry. 2 out of every 3 adults are now considered to be overweight. The CDC found that American men eat 7% more calories than they did in 1971, and American women eat a whopping 18% more calories, which is an additional 335 calories a day, which is enough to gain 1 pound every 11 days. So just thinking of that, we get towards the end of the year, and we wonder, where did that 10 pounds come from? It's as simple as this. Just those extra 335 calories a day are adding up. We haven't changed physically in terms of our body compositions over time, but the manipulation of our food has really tainted our taste buds and our minds to think that what we're eating is really good for us. So we absorb more calories now than was humanly possible just decades ago. And our food and beverages are so calorie dense that it's nearly impossible to eat healthy all the time. Foods are being sold at both grocery stores and restaurants that make smart nutritional choices really hard for the consumer. So it's just something that's ongoing. It's an ongoing process. So learning what these items are does take time. When we talk about bad fats in our diet, these are going to be fats that put us at risk for heart disease, also raise our cholesterol and our weight. These things are your saturated fats, your trans fats, and your dietary cholesterols. So these are things found in animal products, eggs, dairy, lard, butters, different oils, so coconut and palm oils, your hydrogenated veggie oils, anything that comes in like a prepackaged container, like a cookie or some sort of baked good, that's going to have those bad fats in it. Fried foods, shortening margarine, and then also animal products found in meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, dairy, and lard. We're eating things our bodies aren't supposed to eat. Years ago, most baked goods required oils, and oils run and leak at room temperature. And when you hear the terms runny and leaky, that's not something that's very appealing to your taste buds. So it's probably not something that's going to be good for you. In the 1960s, manufacturers have been frying with trans fats. It's making our chips crispier, our Oreos tastier. It's also causing, so think of frying French fries with those. It's not causing smoke in the kitchens, so they're able to use it over and over and over again to make those multiple batches of whatever item that is that they're frying. Trans fats have also shown horrific effects to our organs. Think about fat. It's solid at room temperature, so it's solid in our arteries. So it's just one way to think. Those extra things we're putting in, it's just sticking in our arteries. The good fats that we want to try and incorporate are going to be help us lower our risk for heart disease, also lower our cholesterol levels. These are our monounsaturated, polyunsaturated omega-3 fatty acids. Easy way to remember that is these hard, complex ones that are hard to say, hard to remember. Those are the good ones. You want to try and incorporate them when you can, so using olive oils, peanut oils, canola oil, avocados, nuts or seeds, so any type of tree nuts. Those are going to be good fats. Also going to help raise that HDL cholesterol, which is our good cholesterol. You also want to look for safflower, corn, sunflower oil, seeds, and nuts, and then your fatty cold water fish, flax seeds, and walnuts. You don't like fish, you take like a fish oil supplement. Omega Red is a good one to use. It doesn't leave the fishy aftertaste, and it's also, again, going to help raise that HDL cholesterol. A little bit of history. In the 1970s, around 40% of Americans were overweight or obese. Now we're up to 66% of us are in that category. In addition, the number of just obese people has doubled from 15% of our population to 30%. And that number's not going down any lower. So it's really important that we kind of start to become aware of what can we do to make that change individually for ourselves. While increasing sizes haven't been the sole contributor to our obesity epidemic, large quantities of cheap food have distorted our perception of what a typical meal is supposed to look like. That also comes back to portion sizes. We can go into the grocery store or the gas station and pay for our gas, and there's cookies on the counter the size of Frisbees. We eat that in one sitting. We don't tend to separate that into 3 or 4 different options. That's at one time. Or think about buying a soda that has a cap on it. Are you really going to separate that into 3 days? Probably not. You're going to drink that at one time or throughout the day. So these types of things have really manipulated what our perception of a healthy item looks like. Also be aware of marketing. Is there any marketing people here in the room? What's your goal with marketing?
Really to attract the consumer to the product.
Right. So take a look at some of these popular items. Wendy's fries with sea salt, big deal. It's still salt, still put it on, it's still that extra salt in that item. And the term natural cut is really a lie. For the skins to stay on that French fry, they have to spray chemicals on to do so. So between that frying and freezing process, the skin would naturally fall off. So that term really has no meaning, which we'll talk about in a little bit. SOBI, so SOBI drinks. Energy, we want that. It looks nice, the graphic's nice. The second ingredient is high fructose corn syrup. Does anybody know what high fructose corn syrup is? Sugar. We'll talk about how that term got changed in a little bit. There is nothing wholesome about Lunchables. If you look at the ingredient list, it printed out almost a half a page. It looks more like a chemistry project to me than something that would be wholesome and nutritious to send your kid off to school for lunch. Cereal. Cereal is huge. You really have to look at your serving sizes. Most of the time it's 3/4 a cup or a half a cup for your serving size. How many of us are just going to have a 3/4 a cup of cereal for breakfast? Probably not many of us. Yeah, that's not very much. It's maybe 2 spoonfuls of cereal. And also, Nutella is not a good alternative, a healthy alternative to peanut butter. The first 2 ingredients were sugar and palm oil. So when you're looking at ingredients, whatever that first ingredient is on that item, that means it has the most of that item in that product. So if the first thing you see is sugar, that's the most it has. That item has mostly sugar in it. So when you're looking at food labels, that's what you want to be looking at. So defining a few terms here, we hear the term lightly sweetened. This is frequently abused claim with no formal definition. Appears most often in the cereal aisle. Take Kellogg's Smart Start. It claims to be lightly sweetened, yet it has more sugar per cup than a full serving of Oreo cookies.
Wow.
A good source of this means that the product contains between 10% and 19% of your daily requirement for that recommended nutrient. But if you're looking for that item to fulfill your daily values, you need to eat between 5 and 10 servings of that to get that your daily requirement. Reduced fat, that splashes across too many packaged goods to count. This terms mean that the total fat grams have been reduced by at least 25%. The problem is, though, when they're doing this, they're increasing the other items to make the product still taste good. So really, there's no nutritional gain in that aspect. Lightly breaded, this phrase is most often used in restaurants. So I'll have my chicken lightly breaded. That's not where they're getting you. Where they're getting you is they're not telling you they're still dropping that in a vat of oil to fry it, and that's where they're getting you in that instance. That oil that they're frying it in is soaking into that whatever item that is. So they're not telling you that they've rolled it in flour and then lightly shaken it off and then dropped it in the oil. So that sense is try and get things that are broiled or grilled in that instance. Natural, we talked about that. It's usually just used by food processors. There really is no formal definition for that term by the USDA, so you could put it on anything and there's really not going to be any gain in that aspect. Reduced sodium. This is only if the sodium level is reduced by 25% or more, regardless of the total amount. But low sodium, on the other hand, would be a better option. So instead of reduced, go for the low sodium. Trans fat-free. Food processors can make this claim so long that their product contains less than 349 grams of the trans fat. And considering the American Heart Association, which recommends capping that at 2 grams. So even this small amount, even if it reads that there's 0 grams of trans fat, there's no guarantee that there's none in that product.
What about multigrain? I think you did just
Multigrain, you want to make sure that if you can go, multigrain is good, but if you can go whole grain, better. If the multigrain is going to still be better than your regular white product, but go whole grain if possible. So what's really in your food? This is going to be some examples of kind of what this book's going to help us do. Take Betty Crocker Bako Bits. It's mostly just soybeans and partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, or soybean oil, which is AKA trans fats. Instead, it would be better to have the Hormel real bacon bits. It's made with real bacon, has fewer calories. It's also going to taste better too. So Bako Bits, you're eating soybeans that are meant to taste like bacon. No nutritional value in that aspect. What's really in your food? McDonald's McNuggets. The meat, excuse me, the meat alone contains 7 ingredients, and then add another 20, and you have yourself a McNugget. Instead, go with Applegate Farms. The serving size is 7 nuggets, so it's a little bit less than what you're going to get, but way less calories, way less saturated fat, and then also way less sodium in that. Still, McDonald's is practically all natural when comparing that to Wendy's chicken nuggets that had 30 ingredients. And Burger King chicken fries had 35 ingredients.
Wow.
And I don't even think that they even serve Burger King chicken fries anymore. I think that's been eliminated from their menu due to the fact that there is no nutrition in those items. And that's typically what we're feeding our kids. If we go through the drive-thru, I'll have the chicken nuggets. You know, that's not much chicken in those chicken nuggets.
Yeah, but they come with a toy. Come on.
Hey, the chicken's at least white meat now, right?
If you call that meat. Of course, you also see the word value. You know, we want to go for that value. If we can get a good deal, we want that value. Supersizing it at your local fast food restaurant gives you on average 73% more calories for a mere 17% more in cost. So when you average that out, you kind of can realize you don't really need the 73% more calories just for a couple more bites of that item. It's really, really not worth it. Also, the worst drinks. Take Auntie Anne's Wild Cherry Lemonade Mixer. It has 470 calories, 0 grams of fat, but 110 grams of sugar. That's the equivalent to this many bowls of Chex Mix, just in that beverage. Also, Sobe green tea. We all know that green tea is good for us, right? It has 240 calories, 0 grams of fat, 61 grams of sugar. That's the equivalent to 4 slices of Sara Lee cherry pie, just in that item that you're going to drink. and maybe you're going to have 2 of those throughout the day. So it's really important that you're really paying attention. If that drink is obviously going to be really sweet, and if you're going to drink something sweet, you're going to be craving sweet all day. It's going to lead you to more consumption of whatever that product is.
Is that kind of like those monster drinks and the energy
Yeah,
drinks?
those
that
are
kind of stuff?
horrible.
Yeah.
Yes. Leave it to Sobe to take an otherwise healthy bottle of tea and inject it with enough sugar to make it into a dessert. They have 11 flavors with names like Nirvana, Cranberry, Grapefruit Elixir. It's really marketed to give the impression that it's going to cleanse your body, mind, and spirit, when really it's just sugar water that you're consuming. So again, back to that marketing. We want our product to sell and to sell it well. Worst breakfast items, Jimmy Dean pancake and sausage breakfast bowl has 710 calories in it, 31 grams of fat. 11 of those are saturated, so remember that's the bad one to stay away from, those saturated fats. 890 milligrams of sodium, 34 grams of sugar. Also, Bob Evans stacked and stuffed caramel banana pecan hotcakes. When it takes you nearly 5 seconds to spit out the item that you want to order, it's probably not the best item to order.
Oh my God.
There's over 1,500 calories in that. 77 grams of fat, 26 grams of saturated, 9 trans, over 2,000 milligrams of sodium, and over 109 grams of sugar. That breakfast has more than 75% of your calories you need for the entire day. It also has more sugar and fat than 8 glazed donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, and has nearly as much sodium as 5 Bloody Marys.
We're going to have Frank take Tony over to Bob Evans so we can all get caught up. Right, Tony? It's the only way we're going to catch you.
So pick your battles if you're going to eat this breakfast. Do you want Bloody Marys, donuts, or this? It's starting your day off with refined carbs is going to lead to higher consumption of foods throughout the day because it's going to leave you hungry and wanting more and more. So try and stay away from that. Also, you're probably going to want to be taking a nap by noon if you have this for breakfast because your body is shutting down at that point. So try and stay away from those items. A better alternative would be a Canadian bacon, egg white, and cheese muffin sandwich, 230 calories in that, only 3 grams of saturated fat and 790 milligrams of sodium. So much better choice. Worst desserts, Outback Steakhouse, the Chocolate Thunder has...
Oh, it's so good though.
It has over 1,000 calories, 88 grams of saturated fat into that,
Yeah.
and 135 grams of carbs. Instead, at Outback, go for the cheesecake. It has 737 calories, 15 grams of saturated fat, and 105 grams of carbs. Still a lot in that, but when you're looking at comparing those two, way better option. The Chili's molten chocolate cake, over 1,000 calories, 51 grams of fat, 28 of saturated, and 143 carbs. Instead, go with the Sweet Shot red velvet cake, 250 calories, 5 grams of saturated, and only 39 carbs. Worst lunch items. Wendy's Chicken Club sandwich is 550 calories, 8 grams of saturated fats, over 1,200 milligrams of sodium. So you're looking at way too much for the entire day that you need there. And then Subway meatball marinara is probably one of the worst sandwiches you can get there. 580 calories, 21 grams of fat, 9 of which are saturated, and 1,660 milligrams of sodium. So you're able to see that there's healthier options.
Is that just a 6-inch?
That's just a 6-inch. No chips, no pop, no cookies.
We're hoping that was a foot long.
Subway down at Central Monroe just lost some business. I can tell you that.
So the worst healthy snack would be Pop-Tarts, whole grain, brown sugar. So you got 2 pastries in there. We're not going to only eat one of those. Come on, we're going to eat 2. And then that's going to be 400 calories, 14 grams of fat, 4 of which are saturated, 28 grams of sugar. Even though, remember, look at this marketing though. There's 20% of your daily value of fiber. Contains 7 grams total per serving. Fiber didn't even show up in the first 3 ingredients in this item. You would have to eat almost the entire box of Pop-Tarts to get your percentage value of fiber for that Pop-Tart. Better alternative would be Sun-Made Raisin English muffins. There's 1 muffin, 170 calories, barely any fat in that, 13 grams of sugar, and it has 2 grams of fiber. Pop up in the top 4, which the Pop-Tarts didn't at all. Throw some peanut butter on that, get some protein in, way better option. Still, the raisin bread does have quite a bit of sugar in it, comparing it to something like oatmeal or a Crisp-X cereal. And if you were comparing those, that would be the not that, and the oatmeal or the Crisp-X would be the eat this in that category. Sneaky sources of sugar. Go ahead and look through this list. You might see some of your favorite cereals. It's going to describe them as best to worst. The absolute worst cereal that you can eat is Post Golden Crisp. It has 110 calories, 0 grams of fat, less than a gram of fiber, and also 14 grams of sugar. The first ingredient in this is sugar. If you have time, get on Post's website and see how they describe this cereal. It's really funny. It says that it's a very wholesome cereal with lots of nutritious vitamins and minerals to make you feel good, and it's really just going to leave you with a cavity. This cereal is packed full of sugar. The serving size is 3/4 a cup, and like I said before, how many of us are really only eating 3/4 a cup of that item? The best you can get is Fiber One Original, keeping in mind not putting that extra sugar on top of it that we sometimes do. But you're welcome to look through the list and see if any of your cereals fall in those categories. Anybody find one that they normally eat that they're kind of surprised about?
It's not up here?
No, that's up there.
Where would Special
Well, I don't
K
see
go?
oatmeal.
Yeah, oatmeal wouldn't be on this because this is cereal, but oatmeal's good.
What
Well,
about
like-
Special K?
Special K,
Is that in the good category?
yeah, I think it depends which Special K you get.
Strawberries.
Yeah, you have to look at your sugar content in it, but Special K is good.
What about just like eat like granola and put milk on it and that's your cereal? I mean, that's, sorry.
Yeah, just look at that sugar content and what's in it.
Do, granola, yeah, I do.
Just gotta look at those labels. In the early 70s is when the food manufacturers were looking for a cheaper ingredient to replace sugar, so they coined the term high fructose corn syrup. It sounds pretty fancy. It sounds like something that'd be good for us. It's just sugar. They've done away with the term sugar, and the average American consumes 82 grams of added sugars every day, which contributes to 317 empty calories throughout the day, just from sugar. So 5 hidden dangers for our kids. Cereal. Sugary cereals are essentially cookies. They sometimes have more sugar than ice cream bars, so watch for serving sizes when looking at the nutritional values. I encourage, if anybody has kids or grandkids, if they're taking them shopping, do not go down the cereal aisle with the child. They want the item that looks most appealing to them, has their favorite action figure on it. They saw a commercial on TV and they want the toy that's inside. No, that looks way more appealing than a box of Crisp-X or something like that. It's, again, back to that marketing. Juice. Individually packaged juices like Capri Sun and Sunny Delight are essentially sugar water with token amounts of juice in them. They sometimes have as much sugar as soda, so watch out for apple juices and grape juice even when it says 100% juice on that item. It has lots of natural sugars from the actual fruit that you can't extract out, so they're automatically going to be in that. Even though it says 100% juice and no sugar added, you still have that sugar from the fruit. So orange or cranberry juices are better, especially from the fiber and things like that in the oranges. Here's the ingredient list for the Grape Medley product. It's water, pear juice, grape juice concentrates, ascorbic acid, vitamin C, vegetable juice for color, and citric acid. Notice what was the first item that I said?
Water.
Water. But it's 100% juice. So why is my first item water? If you look closely, it says it's 100% juice from naturally grape-flavored juiced blend concentrate with added sugars and added ingredients. So they've tricked you to think that it's 100% juice, when really it's concentrate that's been laying in a vat for several weeks to get that grape flavor and the sugar soaked into it to make it more sweet. And you're better off eating the actual piece of fruit. There are crazy amounts of sugars, 55 grams, that's 14 teaspoons of sugar, sometimes in just a size of juice that's this small. So it's really important. So you give your kids juice in a sippy cup, do they set it down before it's empty? Probably not. We like that sweet taste. We are always like that. So you're sucking that down because it tastes good. Our taste buds like that sugar. Also, lunch snacks. Fruit snacks might as well be called gummy bears. They have lots of high fructose corn syrup in those and preservatives. They're a small step up from candy. Instead, try sending them off with string cheese, almonds, peanut butter, and crackers. They're going to be the weird kid at the lunch table for a while, but they're going to thank you later, trust me. These are some better options if you're looking to pack some healthier options for your kids. Bread. White bread specifically has loads of refined sugar, flour, and high fructose corn syrup in it. Make sure you're using whole grain breads with at least 3 grams of fiber. If you can buy a loaf of wheat bread for 79 cents, it's probably not wheat bread. They will put a dye in that to turn it brown to make it look like wheat bread. So you really should be spending, $3.50 for a loaf of bread if you're looking to get the best quality of bread for your bang for your buck. I know that sounds crazy to spend that much for bread, but look for deals. You can buy one, get one free, throw one in the freezer, and take it out. It'll fall in 15, 20 minutes. It's just a way to kind of, again, trick your consumer into thinking they're getting the wheat product, whereas it's really just white bread with a little bit of food coloring in it to turn it into wheat. Hidden dangers for kids, again, vegetables. It's not the veggies itself, but it's what we're smothering them in, putting cheese and ranch dressings on it and giving them tons of saturated fats and really teaching them that veggies are not good on their own. So try different techniques of cooking those. So steaming them, sauteing them when possible, roasting, put different seasonings on them. Try and spice that up so it's not just what kid's going to want to eat raw broccoli with nothing on it. Cook it a little bit differently. And then also some 6 rules for good nutrition. Number 1, never skip breakfast. It's your most important meal of the day. It's going to jumpstart your metabolism. It's going to get your body working. You're liable to burn actually more calories throughout the day if you get a good nutritious breakfast in. Also, snack with a purpose. So are you really hungry? Are you bored? Are you eating it just because it's in front of you? Eliminate those temptations when possible, and really drink some water. Try and eliminate those if you can. Beware of portion distortion. So if you need to use a smaller dinner plate versus the big dinner plate to work on portion control, do that. Limit yourself to not getting the giant cookie at the gas station or the muffin that's the size of a softball. Things that are really, become aware of what you're eating. Drink responsibly. So instead of always getting a pop at dinner, try and order a water. Get iced tea, unsweetened tea if you don't like water. Things, I see a lot of water bottles around. That's great. Keep the fluids going. Also eat more whole foods and pure science experiments. So you can eat whole foods. They taste better. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but in the long run, it's way better for your overall nutrition. And also set the table. So try and eat without distractions. Turn off the TV, because we all know that we've been in a situation where we're eating something in front of the TV and we just ate the whole bag of whatever that was, or we went for seconds when we didn't even think we needed them. So really sit down and focus your attention on whatever food it is that you're eating. Any questions? It's kind of scary to see where we've come in the food nation. I encourage you, if you are interested in learning more about kind of the evolution of food, there's a great documentary called Weight of the Nation, and we just watched it. It's like a 4-part series, and it kind of talks about how obesity is kind of just taken over, and these perceptions of cheap foods are really distorting our minds and our overall health when it comes to eating. Yeah?
What about like Mio? They advertise no calories, nothing like that, but all in all, is it?
Yep, you've really got to look and see if there's any sugar content in it, how much you're using of it. If it's zero everything,
Yeah.
Use it. Crystal Light, things like that. Those are all good options.
Could you tell me what the difference is with cranberry juice? Everyone has a different thing. One says 100% juice, one says, which one is really the best for you?
You really got to turn that label over and look and see, check out what those...
What do you want then in cranberry juice?
I personally don't know. You want to make sure, obviously there's going to be natural sugars in that. Cranberry juice is going to be a better option than like apple juice or something like that. you also want to make sure, look at that label and see, is the first ingredient juice? Is it concentrate? Is it water? You want that first ingredient hopefully to be juice.
Juice, you
Yep.
say?
Or fruit or something like that. But again, there's so many different products out for different items that it's hard to say which one's the best and which one's the worst. But cranberry juice is one of the better juices to have if you're going to drink juice. Any other questions? All right, let's do the activity real quick. For those of you who didn't have a chance to do it, what the point of this is to see some common food items that people purchase at the store. We tend to not have a lot of time to stand there and read every label for food products. You'd be at the grocery store for hours if you're going to do that. So we just tend to grab common things that we like, that our taste buds like, that our families like. So what we've done is taken a couple items from different categories, and I'm going to just tell you which one's the healthier item and why. The first one was soup. You guys want to hold those soups up? We have Campbell's and Progresso. How many of you picked Campbell's? That was number 1. And Progresso was number 2. The healthier item is Campbell's. It has 410 milligrams of sodium, whereas the Progresso had 690. So candy bar, we have a Kit Kat, which was number 2, and Twix was number 1. How many of you picked the Kit Kat? That is the healthier option. There's more calories and fat in the Twix. Great way to think of that is it's basically the same candy bar, except the Twix has caramel on it. So it's a good indication that might taste better, but it's the one that's not more healthy. Crackers. We have Ritz whole wheat crackers, which was number 1, and then we have Triscuits, which was number 2. How many of you picked Triscuits, which was number 2? That is the healthier option. It has less saturated fat and calories. It has 180 milligrams of sodium. Also, you're getting more fiber in that. There's 240 milligrams of sodium, and 5 crackers was the serving size for the Ritz. So you're able to eat more crackers with the Triscuits. Yogurt. We have the Yoplait Light, which, you want to hold that up? Yoplait Light was number 1, and Dan & Light and Fit was number 2. And Dan & Light and Fit was the winner in that category. It has less calories and no high fructose corn syrup, whereas Yoplait Light, one of the first ingredients was high fructose corn syrup. I found that one of the best yogurts that's the healthiest that we consume would be Carb Master yogurt, and they sell it at Kroger. It's not Greek yogurt. I'm not a fan of Greek yogurt. I think it's gross. I don't like that texture. So we eat the Carb Master. There's hardly anything in it, and it still tastes good. Hardly any bad ingredients. So I would encourage you to try that. But they only sell it at Kroger, so if you're not a Kroger fan, you're not going to find it anywhere else. Protein or meal bar. We have the Luna Bar, which was number 1, and the Power Bar as number 2. The winner in that is the Luna Bar. It has 170 calories, less sugar and fat than the Power Bar. The Power Bar actually has 20 grams of sugar, which is 5 tablespoons. I would encourage that unless you're very active and burning a lot of things throughout the day, either with vigorous exercise or your job requires that, do not eat those. Those are for people who really are burning a lot of things. If you're eating those and you're very sedentary, it's basically a small step up from a candy bar. So really try and stay away from those unless you're very active. The pasta, we have the Barilla Plus, which was number 1, and the Ronzoni, which was number 2. Number 2, the Ronzoni, is the winner in that category. It has 7 grams of fiber in it. Also has less fat and calories. Barilla Plus still is a better option than white pasta, but in this category it has less fiber than the Ronzoni. So if anyone is still cooking and using white pasta only and they're really wanting to switch to a whole wheat pasta, it has a completely different taste, completely different texture. The sauce doesn't stick on it the same. Your family will probably hate it, but slowly incorporate that in. So the recipe calls for 2 cups of pasta, use 1 cup of whole wheat, 1 cup of white, where you can slowly incorporate it into just the whole wheat pasta. And then the frozen treat, we have chocolate sorbet and vanilla yogurt. So chocolate was number 1 and vanilla was number 2. The winner here is the chocolate. It has 0.5 grams of fat, whereas the vanilla yogurt had 2.5 grams, also has saturated fat in it as well. Any questions with that? I don't know if anyone shops at Meijer, but Meijer did a study. They hired a company to evaluate all of their food items, and they've actually done all this work for you. So instead of having you stand there and read the labels, where the stocker would actually stock the items on the shelf, so the barcode that they're going to scan to stock the item, in the corner of that label there is a number in almost like a little triangle circle, and it might say like 24 or 90 or 100. Whatever that number is, the closest to 100 it is, it's the most healthy item of that product. So, so when you're looking at like the granola bars or the cereal, go for something that's closest to 100. So go look at a bag of spinach, it's going to say 100. Look at some different granola bars, it might say 26 or 32 or whatever it is. The 32 is going to be better than 26. So that kind of helps us make our shopping a little bit faster when we shop at Meijer. I think they've done it at all the Meijers. I know at least the one in Bowling Green that they do it there. But just a little tip if anybody shops there. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right. Well, thanks for coming. Hopefully this was helpful. I encourage you to read through those books and see hopefully some eye-opening facts about some of those food items. I'll make sure that Dave has a copy of this PowerPoint, so that way if anybody wants that, they can
Yeah, will you send it to me then?
Yep.
Yep, yep.
Make sure